Picture this. An empire is literally on its last legs. A modern, powerful European navy is bearing down on its final territory in Africa. And the mission to defend it? Well, everyone says it's impossible. This is the incredible story of how a secret identity, something cooked up out of pure desperation, would end up forging a future leader right in the heart of the desert and create the very blueprint for a nation's rebirth.
So, let's set the scene. It's 1911. Italy, with its brand new, terrifying dreadnought battleships, shows up off the coast of Libya. They're there to claim the last piece of the Ottoman Empire in North Africa. The problem for the Ottomans, they can't send their navy, and the British, who control Egypt, won't let their army pass through. The defenders on the ground are totally cut off, massively outnumbered, and it looks like they are completely out of options. But for the small group of incredibly stubborn Ottoman officers already there, surrender was just not on the table. Their plan was, well, it was audacious. You might even say it was insane. They were going to turn the massive, unforgiving desert itself into a weapon. And right at the center of this desperate plan was a young, brilliant, and fiercely ambitious officer named Mustafa Kemal. You see, this mission wasn't just about fighting a battle. No, it was about creating a war out of thin air. It was about building an entire army where none existed and trying to hold back an industrial superpower with, really, not much more than sheer willpower and the shifting sands. And that's the question that really defines this whole story, isn't it? What can one person really do against an entire empire? Well, faced with these overwhelming odds, Mustafa Kemal is about to show everyone that leadership isn't about the army you're given, it's about the one you can build. It's a formula he would one day use to shape the destiny of a nation. And his incredible journey starts not with a bang, but with a whisper. Okay, so first things first, just getting to the front line was a huge problem. They were blockaded by sea and surrounded by land. A direct approach was basically a suicide mission. So a new plan was needed, one that was all about deception, stealth, and a truly brilliant cover story. To get across the British-controlled border in Egypt, to slip past all those Italian patrols, Mustafa Kemal, the Ottoman officer, had to vanish. He had to become a ghost. And in his place, a whole new person would have to emerge. Someone completely unassuming, someone who could go where a soldier never could. And this was his golden ticket. Gazeteci Şerif, or journalist Şerif. I mean, the identity was just genius, because it was so believable. Think about it. Who else but a journalist would be trying to get into a war zone? That little press pass wasn't just a piece of paper. It was the key that would let him infiltrate a besieged country and start his real work. And hey, just a quick pause here. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on that notification bell, and share and like my videos. All the information we're using is compiled from open sources. Thank you. But getting the disguise, that was the easy part. The journey itself was a battle. He had to sneak across the border right under the noses of the British, push through these blinding sandstorms that felt like they could rip the skin right off your bones, all while fighting a nasty illness that almost ended the whole mission right there. Every sand dune was a potential hiding spot for an enemy patrol, but somehow, exhausted but determined, he finally slipped into the city of Tobruk. So he's inside, and what does he find? Not an army, not really, just scattered groups of fighters and proud, independent tribes. The Italian strategy was pretty simple. Hold the coastal cities and wait. But Kemal's plan? Oh, it was way more ambitious. He wanted to turn the entire desert into a weapon against them. He was about to unleash a masterclass in what we call asymmetry warfare. You know, the classic strategy of the underdog. He knew he couldn't go head-to-head with Italy's cannons and ships. But he also knew Italy couldn't match his secret weapons, his knowledge of the land, his speed, and most importantly, the people of the desert themselves. And this is where you really see his organizational genius. He didn't just show up and start giving orders. No, he spent weeks living in the tents of the local Senussi tribal leaders, this incredibly powerful religious and political group that basically ran the desert. He earned their trust, listened to them, and then united them. He created this invisible force that would hit Italian supply lines hard and then just melt back into the desert. It was the perfect blueprint for something much, much bigger later on. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. This wasn't a war won on some general's map. It was won in those tents, forged over campfires, with intelligence whispered from one village to the next. The local people became his eyes, his ears, and ultimately, his army. The resistance he built was so good that it literally pinned the mighty Italian army to just a few cities on the coast, like Tobruk and Derna, for over a year. But that kind of success, well, it always comes at a price. And for him, it would be a very personal one, in a moment that would physically mark him for the rest of his life.
During a ferocious Italian counterattack, it happens. The world just erupts. An artillery shell lands way too close, and the air is just thick with smoke, sand, and flying chunks of debris.
And in that chaos, a piece of limestone shrapnel from a collapsing wall finds him. He's hit in the face, a blinding flash of pain, dangerously close to his eye.
The doctors told him point blank, "You have to rest, or you could lose your sight permanently." But the battle was still raging. So what did he do? He ignored them. He went right back to the front lines, his eye bandaged, his will totally unbroken. That scar became more than just a wound. It became a symbol of his absolute refusal to quit.
And this is why that forgotten war in the Libyan desert is so unbelievably important. Tripolitania, in 1912, was the silent laboratory. It was the dress rehearsal. The tactics he perfected there, sneaking into enemy territory, building a resistance from nothing, uniting all these different groups for a common cause, that was the exact blueprint he used 7 years later when he stepped ashore in Anatolia to build the modern Republic of Turkey from the ashes of an empire. So, it leaves us with a really powerful question to think about, doesn't it? How are great leaders really made? Is it in the comfortable halls of power? Or is it out there, in the fire of some impossible test, in the heart of the desert, long before the rest of the world is even paying attention?